Welcome to Teaching Critical Reading, brought to you by the Center for Teaching and Learning. I'd like to start with a quote by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein once said, "The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them." This is an appropriate quote because critical reading and helping students learn to read critically involves tactics that are likely going to be different than we have used before. To begin, I'd like to provide Ambrose et al.'s definition of learning out of the book How Learning Works. The authors define learning as something that is not done to students, but rather something that students themselves do. It is the direct result of how students interpret and respond to their experiences, conscious and unconscious, past and present. This is an appropriate definition because it describes the fact that students should be actively doing something in order to be learning. When we're talking about reading, it means that students actually should be doing the activity of reading in order to engage and continue to develop as readers. Prior to digging too deeply into critical reading, this slide articulates a couple of reasons why students resist active learning activities. While these were intended to discuss active learning, I think that each of these tips also articulates why students are often resistant of reading activities or deep reading activities associated with coursework and are relevant for that reason. The first stage in critical reading is previewing. Previewing would include students quote-unquote looking around the reading before they get started. Some sample activities for previewing are listed on the right. The next level of depth of critical reading is scanning and skimming. The purpose of scanning and skimming is to allow students a deeper preview of material. This would include reading opening paragraphs and headings, and then looking through subject headings and starting to ask critical questions about what the material could potentially be about prior to actually reading in depth. Some sample activities are located below. The third level of critical reading is information seeking. Information seeking is the process of seeking out predicted material and finding out whether the initial predictions were true. If they were not, are there new predictions about what the material could be? And then starting to identify main ideas that pop out as relevant within the piece. Sample activities are below. The fourth and final level of critical reading is being engaged. Being engaged involves demonstrating a thorough understanding of the text. This would involve note-taking and digging deep and asking questions and finding answers to questions and really trying to understand the core issues and ideas presented in a piece. Sample activities, again, are located below. Once students learn to read critically at 4 different levels, next there are important note-taking skills that can help advance their critical reading and engagement levels. The first note-taking strategy is called annotating. The purpose of annotating is to see an internal structure and develop and analyze ideas and derive meanings and communicate understanding and terminology, as well as recognizing transitions within a reading material. Annotating often involves a series of symbols that students can use to identify each of these characteristics. This slide provides examples of one system of annotating. Here you can see a visual representation of how annotating might look on an actual reading page. After annotating, and the next level of depth of note-taking is outlining. This is where students would actually provide an outline or create an outline for a reading material that they were engaged in. This could be done as an assignment, a study guide, or anything else that would allow students to sort of re-paraphrase the reading in an organized fashion. Some sample activities or ideas that outlining would be useful for are located below. After outlining, students can also learn to summarize. Summarizing is a more in-depth version of outlining in the sense that it challenges students to pull main ideas out of a piece, focus on key details, use keywords and phrases, break down larger ideas, and write only enough to convey the gist. This would challenge students to synthesize something in a short number of words. The difference between outlining and summarizing is a more paragraph form of synthesizing material, where an outline actually provides a hierarchy of ideas and how they are organized with each other. Some samples for practice are located below. Here are the main references that were used to support the development of teaching critical reading. Remember, Teaching Critical Reading is a full 1-hour workshop offered by the Center for Teaching and Learning. This workshop was originally developed by Ryan Bronkema, Adam Murphy, and Leanne Ortis. If you're interested in more information or would like to register for the full Critical Reading workshop, contact ctl@bgsu.edu. This workshop was recorded by Ryan Bronkema in the spring of 2013.